Hey, what's going on, my friends? It's Dave Sharpe. Welcome to Wake Up Legendary. And this morning we have yet another amazing guest, as always. Kait is back on the show. She is a stay-at-home mom. She's found her full circle moment with her business. She's scaled to an incredible amount of followers and a large audience, over 100,000 people on Instagram. We're going to be talking about her marketing strategies. We're going to be talking about her journey. The show, if you haven't seen it before, is all about interviewing our actual clients about their journey through taking one of our challenges, becoming serious about it, digging into some of our other programs, making commitments to grow a business and seeing things through, and what that's been like, the good, the bad, the ugly. This is an impromptu show, unscripted, no pre-written questions that were submitted to the guest or anything like that. As a matter of fact, I don't even talk to the guest before we go live. So with that being said, my friends, let's get into this today. It's a beautiful day here in sunny Florida. Yes, sir, and yes, ma'am. With that being said, please help me welcome Kait back to the show. Hi, Kait.
Hi.
Good morning.
Morning. I'm jealous of that weather. We just came back from Florida. We were on vacation, and yeah, it's much colder here.
Where are you calling in from?
Ontario, Canada.
Where did you visit in Florida?
We were on the Gulf Coast near Tampa, and then we went over to Disney. We took our 2.5-year-old son to Disney for 5 days, which was very fun.
Like what part of Tampa?
My parents have a very little condo that we borrowed, and we stayed there, and it's in Largo. So like Indian Rocks Beach area. Yeah.
I grew up. I grew up there. I'm 15 or 20 minutes south of Indian Rocks Beach.
Okay, so we weren't far from you at all. So we did, we
Yeah.
were there for 12 days, so just under 2 weeks.
Ooh, good for you. Nice little vacation. Nice little
Beautiful
vacation. And then
vacation.
back to Canada. So
Yep.
talk to us, Kait, for those who don't know your story and who don't know, haven't seen one of your previous appearances on Wake Up Legendary. Talk to us when you got started, why you got started. Was a
Yeah.
vacation like that possible back then? I don't know, maybe throw a little bit of that in there. But give us a 5-minute intro snapshot of that question so we
Sure.
can understand a little bit more about who you are and where you came from.
So my son will be 3 in January. And while I was on maternity leave with him, here in Canada, we get a year's maternity leave, and I actually lost my job. The company was closing. I thought that was going to be my forever. I loved my job. I actually worked for my family's company, and my husband and I were supposed to purchase it when my father was ready to retire, but he decided to liquidate, which was huge, right? That completely flipped our lives upside down. So I applied for jobs. I applied for daycare. We actually applied for daycare for our son when he was 9 days old. And we did not get a daycare spot until he was 20 months old. So more than a year and a half later, which meant I couldn't work, right? Like I couldn't work outside the home. I had applied for, I think, every single remote job out there. I spent all of my spare time applying for jobs. And I would scroll Instagram at night or TikTok, and I came across, other people saying, hey, did you know that you can actually make money online? You can promote other people's products. You can promote your own products. And I was like, sure you can. So June 26th, of last year, I finally took the $7 course at the time. And I was like, there's no way this is legit. There's no way this can work. I was the biggest skeptic. And like looking back now, it's funny just to see the transformation and everything has changed. But I was super skeptical, but I was like, okay, you know what? I don't know what else we're going to do here. So I'm going to try. And I did with a 1-year-old on my hip, and I would take, I would do the videos when he was sleeping and after he'd go to bed. And, that was, 16 months ago. So definitely wild. Um, and now I'm actually pregnant with our second child, which is very exciting. And we got pregnant and found out that my husband's losing his job because his company is closing. So yeah, full circle, not in the best way, but at the same time, less stressful this time around. We had some notice. He's working until the end of January, and we don't have to stress because, like, if you're a parent and you're starting a new job, how are you going to take time off to care for your child? My son had pneumonia right before we went away, so he hasn't been at his preschool for a month, and it's not really a big deal. He more goes because he has fun with his friends than the necessity of him being there. Uh, so now it's so different because we have so much more freedom as a family, and we didn't have the opportunity to take a 2-week vacation. That was never a thing. And the fact that I can do that now and, not be worried about coming back to a insane workload after being away from holidays, not having to book that PTO, and, my business being able to work while I'm there, which is crazy, and just being able to have fun. I mean, our family has insane freedom, and I am not even close to the same person that I was when I started this.
Well, that's I love to hear that, especially since we just started and launched a brand new confidence challenge here within Legendary, trying to kind of work and focus on that transformation and have people focus on that sooner, and instead of kind of realizing maybe years later after struggle of some sort, or starting and stopping, or shiny object syndrome, that this is a mental mindset game and a personal growth game, as much as it is you learning the skills of online marketing. And so talk to us a little bit about your journey of growth and kind of what that means to you.
So I love the new confidence challenge because it says confidence challenge. Like, I am an introvert through and through. And I definitely am a lot more outgoing now. I have a lot more confidence in myself, which is huge, and my ability to learn new skills and implement those skills and help others along the way. And that's not me. I was never that type of person who was confident in what I was doing and who was kind of a go-getter and get out there. And, if people ask questions, I was never confident in my answers. And now I'm just, ready to help people. And if people have questions, I'm eager to help them. And I'm eager to, inform other people about what it is we do online and how, it brings so much out of yourself. Like, the confidence I've gained, and, like, just the type of person, I'm more outgoing, I'm happier. Carefree, I don't think is the right answer. I'm a mom, so I don't think you're ever carefree. But I'm lighter. And I don't know if that makes sense, but I just, like, there's a weight lifted, and, people will say, like, what are you doing? Like, is this a real thing? And I'm like, yeah. And, like, you just get excited, and it's nice to be passionate about something, which a lot of people, I don't think are. Like, I used to think that I could not run my own business or have my own business because I just didn't think I was motivated enough. And it turns out that I was just bogged down working for someone else. And there was this whole other entrepreneurial side to me. And I think a lot of people, when they step into the online space, can discover that for themselves. I think, it obviously takes a certain skill and a certain personality to be an entrepreneur. You have to be self-motivated, which, again, I didn't think I was, but it's when you figure out the right space, you absolutely can be.
Yes, yes, yes. Yes to all of that. And yes to, yeah, you do need to be self-motivated, but there's a difference, I think, between being pushed and pulled by something. If you're being pushed by fear and desperation, that can be a good thing if you know how to leverage the gift of desperation. But for a lot of people, it can be a drag and feel really overwhelming, versus being pulled by something you're passionate about.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that a lot more people can kind of fall into and feel comfortable with, because I can remember when I was, and I still get like this, of course, when I'm learning something new, but when I was learning this online marketing business over a decade ago, 15 years ago, God, I was obsessed. I was just obsessed. so enamored that, business was happening on the internet, that really is all you had to do to participate in it was know how to play the game. Know how to make the videos and then upload them and use the right software to build a page to get people to give you their information. And little did I know 15 years ago that we would be moving towards this place where people would spend all of their time.
All of their time.
I mean, friends, we're not talking about this being like something that may take off. This thing's taken off to the stratosphere. I mean, everybody's attention. There's an ungodly amount of money that's being spent every day on the internet. It's all being spent on the internet. It's all being spent digitally. It's all being spent electronically. Hardly ever are you anymore paying cash for anything. It's all happening here. And this requires no degree or no, significant internship in order to get started. Just as you said a moment ago, a bit of discipline, a bit of stick-to-itiveness. How did you develop that? And what was you used a word a moment ago, or a phrase, if you have the right environment or the right setup. I can't remember exactly what you said, but what was that right environment and or setup for you? What was either pushing or pulling you?
I think it was a bit of both. I wouldn't say fear, maybe a bit of desperation of, okay, I don't want my husband to keep working a ridiculous amount of overtime because that's how we were, sustainable with one income. And I was over that. And so it was a little bit of desperation and a little bit of, I know I can do this if other people can do this. And so I found, that initial motivation, and there are other people doing this and they don't have a degree. They are no smarter than I am. They are, their circumstances possibly were worse than mine. And I don't like to get into that comparison game, but at the beginning it was motivating because it was like, okay, they learned those skills, and if they learn them, I can learn them. And so I just set a schedule for myself. And I tell people this at the beginning because they go, how do you have time to create content? How do you find the time to, write emails? How do you find the time for your business? And I said, you schedule it. Like you schedule time to go to the gym, like you schedule your lunch break or your walks. You schedule that into your times in your days. So my son would go down for his nap, boom, I'm learning, boom, I'm writing emails. And it was just a non-negotiable for me. And, my husband came to learn that too. Like, okay, it's 12:30, Kate's gonna go do some work. Like, it is now my work hour, an hour after my son went to bed. And you have to find that discipline in yourself. And like I said, I found it in motivation when I saw other people being successful. Great. They can do this. I know it's real. I can do that. I don't know how I'm going to find another job with my son home. I've got to make something work. And I was never the person who stuck to anything. I had tried selling like handmade goods on Etsy. I had tried selling Arbonne. I had tried things, and like I flopped. I definitely invested way more money than I made. And it was like constantly, trying to sell things to friends and family, and I didn't feel good about it, and it wasn't fun. And like handmade goods take all of your time. If that's what you want to do, great. But I didn't have a lot of time. So it was desperation along with like motivation from other people, because when you see others being successful and you know that you can do it, you see that other moms are doing it, why can't you do it? And, so many people are like, well, you are good at content, or you're good at email writing. I'm like, I wasn't. I haven't done any of this before. You learn, right? And as things don't work or they do work, you learn to pivot.
So talk to us a little bit about your audience building kind of journey. You've got a lot of followers on Instagram. Was there a turning point? What have you learned about creating content and building an audience that could be helpful, that you could explain, simply in the time that we have today? Congratulations on that, by the way. That's awesome. Incredible work. And you're totally worthy, of having people listen to you, and you've done the work and you've done the learning. And, people who do that, things just don't happen. Followers don't get handed to people for nothing, just like money doesn't get handed to people. These days, followers are giving you their attention. They're giving
Yeah.
you time on their news feed. They're saying, I want to hear from this person. It's a form of currency. You've got a lot of it. How have you built it up?
So this is my Kate the Canadian, sorry, my that Canadian mom account. That's my brand new February, as of February of 2024 account. And my first account was trialing, right? Like I didn't know what I was doing, and I found some stuff worked, some stuff didn't, and I was like, okay, I finally feel like I have a handle on content. I'm gonna start a brand new account and see if I can grow this. And it grew really slow at the beginning. And I always tell people that, like, I have 108,000 followers now. That did not happen overnight, right? It took time. And the biggest thing is being authentic. You can find inspiration from other people's content, but do not copy it word for word. I scroll my page and I will see 4 or 5 posts or carousels from other creators, and they are all identical in a row. And I'm like, if I'm seeing that, your followers are seeing that, right? And they're not inspired, they're not going to relate to you. So my favorite comments are that I'm relatable. If someone says I'm relatable, that's amazing. That's what I want to be. I want people to see me as a human being, not as a marketer. I want them to see me as someone they could be friends with, see me as someone who, they'd want in their mom's circle, or, who they'd grab coffee with. And when you approach your content like that, that's where you start to get the followers, because you're talking to, I talked to myself a year ago. That's who I'm talking to in my content. And when you talk to those people like that, they follow you because they feel heard, they feel seen, right? And they want to hear more of what you have to say. So being authentic and relatable is huge. Getting inspiration from creators who have done well, absolutely go for it. I get a lot of inspiration from creators who are in different niches, but don't copy their content for word, because it's not going to get you anywhere. People will eventually likely call you out, or your followers are just going to be like, okay, cool, everyone does the same content, I'm over it.
Yeah, yeah, no doubt. There definitely is I call it parrot syndrome. Copycat. Whatever you want to call it, but I think we all go through it at the beginning, where you feel like you have to, copy other people, and you're sort of afraid to be yourself.
Yeah.
You're sort of, finding your own voice, finding your own message. What helped you do that?
So I definitely copycatted at the beginning. I didn't know what I was doing, and I didn't know better. So I always own up to that. I think so. I put out a video, and it was like random, and it was like a day in the life, and it did really, really well. And I was like, hey, that was like, my first real video that I had, like, came out of left field. An idea popped into my head, and it did well. So I decided to go with that. And then when I started to kind of put my own spin on content, um, and really put my own, talk about my story and how I got here and what was up with me, that's when my content started to do well. And, it was trial and error for a while. And I wasn't afraid to play with different types of content. And so when I started to really inject myself into my content, my life, my family, that's when things started to do well, was just being honest and real with people. I'd be folding laundry and chatting about whatever, chatting about how, I can make money while I'm folding laundry, but why it's not an automatic thing, why it takes work and effort, and really talking about, for me, what my struggles were at the beginning and how I found the online space, and, just being honesty. And once you realize kind of what type of content your audience resonates with, keep repeating it. I will do a very similar piece of content with just a B-roll video, with a talking head video, with a carousel post, because that's what my audience likes to see. Now, I still get the odd video that will go viral for the wrong reasons. I had a really funny comment the other day that someone commented that it looked like I eat 30 cupcakes in a week or in a day. And I was like, well, I mean, I am 20 weeks pregnant. So I, that I don't know what to tell you. Yeah. I mean, I'm getting a belly. You'll still have, videos that go viral for the wrong reasons, and that's fine. It still brings people to my page.
Yeah. Yeah. I think letting things roll off your back is certainly important. Were you more worried about what strangers may say or how they may judge or criticize you, or were you more worried about people that you actually personally knew in your real life, or was there any sort of anxiety around people that you knew, or just general fear of, I don't know, misunderstanding, criticism, rejection?
Uh, I don't really care what strangers on the internet think. I mean, they're keyboard warriors, in my opinion. But family and friends, yeah, I was definitely worried. Um, Definitely concerned. My mom is on Instagram, and I definitely blocked her. I was like, oh, I don't want her to see. And yeah, I mean, I always tell people, if you're worried, just block. Just block. Who cares? It's literally my favorite feature on Instagram is the block feature. If people are harassing you, or people you don't want them to see your content, just block them. It's no big deal. They don't know. But yeah, I was definitely worried at the beginning, especially, and it's so silly because, before I saw any success, I was worried what they would think. And now, I mean, they'll message me and they're like, what are you doing? Like, how can I do this? And I'm like, hey, yeah, I can totally tell you. But at the beginning, you worry for sure. I think that's why a lot of people have gone faceless, as they feel like they can hide behind it, which is fine. And when
It's
I
funny
first
just
started
to hear
faceless,
you.
wasn't
They've gone faceless. Where'd their face go?
but like they do the faceless accounts, right? And I know people that have done really, really well with that, and that's really cool. When I first started, it wasn't a big thing. So I've always been a face forward account. Um, but a lot of people love doing faceless accounts for that reason, right? And I think that's a totally cool concept. And I'd say like this year was when we really started to see that take off, maybe like February, March of 2024. And cool. I mean, there is no limit. Like you look at accounts that are, say, like pet related, and people don't show their face, right? They focus on their dog or their cat. And I think a lot of people do get hung up on, I don't want to show my face on social media, which that's fine. Like I said, for me, I've always been a face forward account and I don't mind it. The beginning was a little scary. I think anything new is scary. So I have a private Instagram account and that's about it. So, I don't really do much on social media except now. So it was scary at the beginning and worrying about, I have a lot of conversations with people who are worried about their family and friends finding them. I'm like, just block them. Who cares? Like, are they paying your bills? Because if they're not, then they don't get a say.
Mm, yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, that is a tough wow. That really, you could do a whole workshop on that. Like, if they're not paying my bills, they don't get a say. Man, wow. How do I really implement that? Because part of me just wants to go balls to the wall with that one, right? Just okay. I'm not interested in any feedback. Do you pay my bills? Okay. No, I don't want to hear about it, right?
And it took me a while to get to that point, right? Like, it wasn't
Yeah,
immediate, but
yeah, I mean, I don't want to be a jerk about it, but I need to be extreme in some sense if I want to be successful, because if I'm not extreme, then I'm kind of in that that halfway, that middle ground where I'm still kind of pleasing but still setting boundaries, and that doesn't really work when I'm trying to navigate people pleasing and sort of
you
setting
can't
boundaries.
be
But
1 foot in and 1 foot out. You can't.
right. And so, yeah, I mean, it doesn't mean that I have to have a big reaction if somebody makes a comment. It doesn't mean that I have to allow them to rent space in my head, but it does mean that I am not going to give it a reaction.
Yeah.
That I'm just not going to waste time and energy. And I'm also another thing that I don't think that we realize is that we're the ones who create the majority of our problems by oversharing.
Yep.
The majority of the criticism that comes is simply because you overshare things that you're doing or you share too soon.
Yep, I agree. I told no one when I started. I told my husband, I think 2 weeks after, I was like, hey, I'm trying this thing. Hopefully, it'll let me stay home with my son. And he's like, okay, cool. He was my biggest cheerleader. I mean, he was all in more than I was at the beginning. But I did not tell friends. I did not tell family. I told my parents around Christmas time last year. So about 6 months in, when I felt I actually I was doing it. I was doing the thing. So then I was like, okay, now I can kind of tell people. But I didn't want people to know. I think I was more afraid to fail publicly than the criticism. I think I was just more afraid for people to see me fail. And I was worried, I think, for myself too. Like I doubted if I would fail, if I would keep going. And I mean, failure, I think, is self-defined, right? Everyone's failures are slightly different. Um, and even now, I mean, I feel like I'm successful, but there are still things that I would say I'm not failing at, but I could do better with, right? And I think not only in the online space, but any entrepreneur, you always have to be growing both mentally and in your business.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Um, you know, this confidence challenge we recently launched is really all about, helping somebody to develop their confidence, both in business, but also you can work this process, these 5 steps that we developed within this program on any topic. Um, how What are some of the things, if you can think back to some of your limiting beliefs when you first got started? What are some of the things that you you've developed confidence around that you didn't so much expect that you would? Has it been something external, like, wow, I didn't realize I would get as comfortable as I did on camera? I mean, what other, just besides what you've already shared, what other limiting beliefs did you have, and what are some of the things that you've done to both, you know, to push through them and not let them stop you, so you actually could launch, but then build actually confidence around them? I know every successful entrepreneur eventually has to turn their struggles into their strengths, figure out
Yep.
how to use your, because we all got strengths and weaknesses, but how do I even use my struggles as my strengths? For example, I had a difficult story and past. How could I turn that struggle, that mess, into a message? What was it for you that was kind of a mountain, but you figured out how to tunnel through it?
Sure. So like sales funnels for me were like a huge hurdle. And honestly, I almost gave up because I was like, I'm not tech savvy. I don't know anything to do with tech. I can write an email and that's about it. So for me, building out a sales funnel and like doing a sales page and figuring out how to make, one step go to the other, that was tough. And that was a stumbling block for me. Honestly, I almost quit. And
Mm.
I kept telling myself, you're not smart enough. You don't know how to do this. And those were limiting beliefs that I could not do this. I'm not, I'm not a web developer. I'm not a web designer. I don't know how to do this. And now I could create a funnel probably in about a half hour. Pretty good at them now. And I've helped others build them now. And now I'm very confident in them. But that took time and it took doing them and changing them and learning them. And I've learned them in multiple systems now. And it just takes practice, right? It takes setting your limiting beliefs aside, which is not easy for anything or anybody, right? It's hard to take those out of your head and put them to the side. I had never created a reel before. I didn't know how to add audio. I didn't know what a trending audio was. I didn't know how to clip my videos. My very first video was on TikTok, and I set my phone up. I propped it against my computer. Did not have a tripod at the time, and I talked for like 90 seconds straight and posted that. It was awful. I didn't add captions. I didn't, cut out the dead space. I didn't know what I was doing, and it was terrible. I think it got like 10 views. It was so bad. So you learn, right? And you're like, okay, and you watch, and I will take notes from other creators that are doing well. Why did that video do well? And I'm a 5 foot stay-at-home mom. I'm nothing special. And so you kind of have to get over that. I'm an average person, but that actually is my superpower, just being a normal, average human being. There is nothing that special about me. And at first that was a limiting belief, right? At first I'm going, I'm just a normal person. Like I'm not exciting. Who's going to want to listen to me? And now I realize, because I'm an average human being, because I'm boring, that's why people want to listen to me, because I'm just like them.
Yeah. Yeah, it's wild. We've definitely entered a time where we would much prefer to listen to, relatable people on YouTube and Instagram than, some news anchor in a suit on a set, and we want to buy stuff from people like that as well.
Yes, because
Yeah.
they're going to give their honest opinions, right? Like they're not out there to, it's different watching a commercial promoting their own product versus someone actually using the product and talking about it. And that goes for any niche across any board. You want to talk to someone who knows the product in a consumer way.
Yep. Yep, for sure, for sure. Somebody that is going to have a similar experience, or who the power of just simply the thought of, oh, they know what it's like to be me, is
Yeah.
powerful. And so the more that you can, yeah, allow the person to see you from that perspective, get to know you from that perspective, the better. Even celebrities. This is not a new rule. This is sort of an old rule. Never want to look too good or too far away from us normal peasants. Or the rulers of they're always trying to set themselves up in a place where it's like, oh, he's a man of the people. It's like, people want to know that what it's like to be them.
Yeah, it all comes back to being relatable and authentic. Like that is honestly, those are the pillars that I've built my brand on. And I think that is when people ask me, like, how do you do what you do? And it's being authentic and it's being relatable. And that is the most important thing you can do online, right? I don't show up and say, I'm better than you because I started this a year and a half ago and you didn't. I show up and say, I started this terrified a year and a half ago. And here we are now because I did that. And I'm just a normal mom. Like I can't stress that enough to people when they message me and they're like, I think this is a scam. Is it really true? Can anybody do this? And I'm like, yeah, if you want to put in the time, the effort, and learn the skills, absolutely. Anybody can learn to market online for sure. But you have to be willing to put in the time and effort. Like this doesn't happen overnight. I mean, it took me a while before I felt I was seeing any sort of success.
Yeah. But I tell you, I always tell people it's going to be hard, but it's going to be worth it, if you stick to it and you actually enjoy entrepreneurship. Certainly you've got to enjoy what you're doing, friends. I can't stress that enough. I wouldn't want anybody or ever try to convince anybody to do something that they didn't actually enjoy doing. For me, I would always geek out on this stuff because it's happening all around me anyways. It's on
Yep.
on my phone. It's, people are doing billions, trillions, I don't know, dollars per year in business on these little devices that we all hold in our hands. I feel like I'm no different than the guy back during the gold rush who just, climbed on a horse and traveled across the dead gum country to go and it's not like I'm any different. I'm just trying to get my little piece of the pie here. And I really think that I can't imagine why others wouldn't want to do that too. But if you don't think that's fun or think this is fun, then don't do it. But man, it's like, yeah, it's going to be hard, but it's going to be worth it. You know?
And I always tell people, like, it might be hard, but it's new, and anything new is hard, right? Anything new is hard. You know, if you haven't done, if you're a baby and you haven't walked before, walking is hard, and you need to learn to do that before you can run. So, you know, and another thing I think is so huge and such a terrible misconception, it's very common, is that people think that in order to make money online, you just need to promote making money online. And that is, you know, I get people who comment that all the time, and I'm like, no, you don't get it. You're not understanding it. And I think that is such a big common misconception. And I think, you know, people need to realize that there are hundreds, millions of ways to make money online. And that you can do it with anything you love. You know, if you don't love teaching, you know, talking about making money online, then don't do that. Talk about gardening or whatever it is that you love, you know, and you can monetize anything.
Yeah. I mean, look, the trillions, I would imagine, of dollars in commerce and business that happen on the internet, you know, every year. Yeah, they're not all coming from the make money online niche, for God's sakes, you know. And just the selling of information, courses, coaching events, being an affiliate, selling others, you know, digital products. That's a category within the entire, and then there's different subcategories. We teach you all of this inside of the curriculum, inside of the challenge. I'd start there. Enroll in the blueprints if you're feeling serious about learning these skills and want a full-blown experience. It's optional for those of you just you know, coming into our world to be an affiliate. The reason why we have affiliates who promote Legendary is because I think people go through, they have a great experience, and they say, hey, I wonder if Legendary has an affiliate program as I'm learning this skill set. And we do, and they promote it. It's not a requirement, and it's free to do that, which should be the case with most or all.
I think all reputable affiliate programs are free.
Sure, right. Yeah, you shouldn't have to pay to play. You shouldn't have to buy to sell, or you just, you know, you go out there and you test the waters. The beautiful thing about this business is that you can market in a niche for low to no cost, and you can make adjustments, pivot, or completely leave that niche altogether.
Yeah.
But by just doing a marketing test without ever leaving your home, you know, so for most, if you would have told that to people, marketers and advertisers and business owners back in the 50s who are now past, they had said, what?
Right?
Say what?
I can work in sweatpants on my couch. Yeah, sign me up. Sign me up.
Right. I mean, what most people are doing today in order to mark, you know, most people have graduated past at least the yellow pages, but so many people are still, you know, grinding it out, you know, cold calling. You mentioned an MLM a few moments ago. You know, people are chasing friends and family, riding around town with magnets and wraps on their car. You know, look, there's all kinds of things that we do every day, but I promise you, if people back in earlier generations would know, had they watched a movie about what we're doing right now, and there's kids and senior citizens who are making thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars from recording videos from their couch or from the comfort of their own home on platforms called TikTok and Instagram and YouTube. they'd say, "Shut up."
I even think about like my parents' generation or my grandparents' generation, and they would have been like, yeah, right. Like, that's not a thing. You can't sit at home and make money. You can't do that. And it's wild because you can. I'm proof. I mean, there's hundreds of people who are proof online, right? It's crazy. It is crazy. The ability to, like you said, make money from a device that you hold in your hand, from to run a business from a device that you can hold in your hand, that's wild. Like, it's
Yeah,
actually insane.
and we're vibing about this, people. If you're just joining, this is a completely impromptu. The show is about just literally inviting our actual clients who we've never met before onto our podcast show and interviewing them about what their experience was going through our education and actually launching a business. There's either nearly or over now 1,100 episodes of this.
Wild.
And Kate, you and I are sitting here vibing because we share the same passion. You
Yep.
know, you saw the same thing that I saw. Um, Now you've taken the ball, you're running with it, you're using it, you're in some way sharing the information. It's really it's a cool thing. And I not only have loved the money and the livelihood that this business model and these skills have provided, but I also love the connection with other people who share and see the same thing. It's almost like going to a museum and coming upon a piece of art that you really think just talks to you, speaks to you, as dozens of other people walk by and another person comes up who has a similar feeling, and you share, you vibe about this piece of art you're standing in front of and looking at. And it's kind of like what this is,
Yeah, it's so
that.
cool. I've met some people um, through this business that I talk to on a daily basis. We've never met in person, but we can connect, right? Like, we are doing similar things and we can bounce ideas off each other. We get excited about the same things. And it's cool because you build your own little community. So it's really, really interesting to be able to build that community of people and kind of make these connections with people who are passionate about the same thing you are. Because in my daily life, my personal life, I don't have those people who are excited about online marketing. I mean, most of them don't even understand what I do. So,
And the people in this tribe are not just excited about online marketing. There's also this sense of rebel, maverick, you know, going against the grain, kind of, and also wanting to be the best person, the best version of yourself, the best spouse, the best parent. There's
yep,
just an attitude of personal growth. And the people within this community, especially those who are actively taking action, being a part of a community like this is a great way to meet people and also meet winners within that an industry full of people who are already about personal growth. You can also have an opportunity to meet people who are really, the top of the line, man, like premier people, elite people, because they're the ones who are taking action and doing. And those are the people who you meet a couple of those friends, and that's a lot of value and a lot of happiness and a lot of support to your life that you
huge.
don't even calculate. You
Yep.
don't even calculate in the price of something. And so it is, Sherry. It's a great way to both find your mentors, but also find your friends. And we often underestimate that.
Yeah.
Let's
If
find.
you start this and you don't have anyone to connect with, I mean, first of all, always reach out. I'm happy to chat with pretty much anyone. So yeah. But if you start this and you don't have that community, it's hard. It is hard. And when I started, I didn't have a community at all. And when you build that community and those friendships and those connections, it honestly changes everything. Because what's that saying? You are who you surround yourself with. If you surround yourself with these like-minded people who are winners, who want to go out and be the best version of themselves, who are continuing to learn, you're going to be that person too. Right? And so knowing these people and learning tidbits from them, sharing tidbits with them, we share a lot, like, what books are you reading? I am all about personal growth and I love to learn more. And so when you're doing that, and you're sharing that with other people, that community just builds you up even more, which is really, really cool.
Yep. Yep. For sure. For sure. It is a beautiful thing. Before we bring this in for a landing, I may have asked you this before. Let me ask you again. What have you learned about yourself throughout this process?
Oh gosh, I am way smarter and more savvy than I thought I was. That's for sure. Um, Definitely didn't take myself for a business owner, entrepreneur. So I've definitely underestimated myself, and I've learned not to do that, which is really important. I have learned how to shut down my limiting beliefs. Of course, they're always going to try and creep up on your shoulder, but I've learned how to quiet them, which is really, really important. I think that learning those skills is huge. And I've also learned that by having something for myself, so my online business, having that for myself has allowed me to be a better wife, to be a better mom. And it sounds silly that being an entrepreneur, I, I can work in the little tidbits of my day. And like you said, you become obsessed with it, because I do. I'll be like, oh, 5 more minutes, 10 more minutes. And it's because I love it. Um, but having that for myself has allowed me to be a better friend, mom, wife, mother, whatever, everything. I'm just better overall in my life. And I didn't realize how much having a cool entrepreneurial outlet for myself would allow me to be better in my life.
Love that. So well said. So many things. I mean, each of those things could be an episode. Kate, it's always a pleasure to
Love
have
being
you on.
here. Third time. Crazy.
Yes, you are awesome. I think that 2025 for you is going to be just great. I'm so thrilled to be a part of it. I want to have you back so many more times next year.
Awesome.
And maybe even again by the end of the year. I love your growth. I love your message. I love how you explain it. I love what you're doing. Happy holidays, all the things,
Thank you. You
and
too.
the best to you and your family. And thanks for coming on again. I'll see you for number 4 very, very soon.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
All right. See you later.
Bye.
All right, my friends, you can follow Kate over at That Canadian Mama. That Canadian Mama, my friends. Well, that time has come. The week is over, my friends. It's time to move into the weekend and take a bit of a step back, but also catch up on anything that you need to catch up on. It is my birthday weekend, my friends. It is my birthday weekend. I am turning the big 4-1 on the 17th of November. That will be Sunday. So I'll be hanging out, maybe hitting some brunch on the boat with some friends, pending good weather. That's the plan. Some pizza and ice cream with family at night. I'll, of course, be thinking about all of you. Thank you so much for being a part of what we're doing here. You guys are the best birthday present a guy could have or get. I've often had people say, what do you get a guy who has everything? I don't think I have everything. I sometimes still feel like there's an incredible amount to do and accomplish, and that I haven't done really that much. But I do have a lot. I have a lot of love. I have a lot of awesome people in my life. And that is what I value most, is all of you. You are the greatest gift that I could ever get every birthday, including my family, including my friends. And so thanks for being a part of my life. Thanks for taking another trip around the sun with me, everybody. And I look forward to yet another trip with you this next year in building your skills and helping you to become the best version of yourself with no strings attached, with the only goal that, hey, maybe you do some business with us, maybe you don't, but we get to be a part of each other's journeys. You make me a better Dave, I make you a better you. And at the end of the day, it all works out and we're all okay. And so with that being said, have a great weekend, my friends. I will enjoy my birthday weekend. I will certainly keep you in mind, as I said, as I'm tearing open some fudge and filled, sweet cherry filled cake and pizza on Sunday night. And we'll be back here with you on Monday at 10 a.m. Eastern time for another episode. Take the confidence challenge if you haven't, my friends. That'd be my birthday request from you all to take the time over the weekend to take the confidence challenge. legendarymarketer.com/enroll. Take that confidence challenge, and then let's go back out. For those of you who are affiliates, let's share that powerful process and information with people to help them to be the best version of themselves. All right, my friends, love you all. Get out of here. Have a great weekend. Peace.